Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening again. I'm back for the second video, which is based on this book known as Patience and Gratitude, who was by the great scholar, well-known scholar, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyyah, rahimahullah, may mercy be upon him. He was, of course, I'm going to touch on his like autobiography just briefly. He was born in 1292 CE and died in 1350 CE. Was one of the major scholars of their time, and his full name was Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr ibn Ayyub ibn Sa'ad az-Zari, and his kunya was Abu Abdullah Shams al-Din, but he is better known as Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya, and he was born in Damascus, Syria. He was the son of the attendant Qayyim of the school of al-Jawziyya. He lived during a period of great turmoil in the Muslim world, which was still reeling from the Mongol onslaughts. The Asians, Mongol from Mongolia, they were at that time conquering the world, and of course the Muslim world was part of that conquest that they had. And at the same time, his era was a remarkable time for scholarship. It had many scholars putting out the knowledge that they obtained and studies done in Islam and the likes of this. He studied under the great scholar Ibn Taymiyyah, and was also a contemporary of Ibn Kathir, who was known as one of the most greatest scholars of tafsir, which is interpretation and understanding of the Quran. So, and of course there were others scholars at that time that he studied under, took from. The present text is a abridged translation of Ibn Qayyim's famous work, and it is called in Arabic Adat as-Sabrin wa Dakirat ash-Shakarin, which is literally the equipment of the patient and the investment of the grateful. Okay, so this work deals with the closely related topics of patience and gratitude. Although often translated as patience, the Arabic word sabr has a broader and deeper meaning than the English word. Depending on the context, it may mean fortitude, patience, equanimity, forbearance, patient, endurance, etc. And shukr, which is Arabic, may be translated as gratitude or thankfulness. So the Sheikh, the scholar, he covers these two main subjects, which are very important in Islam, as well as throughout any of human life. These are the qualities and the characteristics that all human beings should have. But to get back to the translation, the translators by the name of Nasruddin al-Kitab, his commentary on it, we're dealing with what is very clear in Islam today, and what it can do. Muslims do desperately need far more being a set of empty rituals and nitpicking legal technicalities, or a set of words to be repeated or chanted and ad nusum. Islam is a holistic way of life. If it is applied only partially, imbalance will result. A most important aspect of Islam, which must always accompany the formal rituals and the recitation of du'as and dhikr, is constant remembrance of Allah and constant contact with the Divine One. Developing a truly Islamic attitude of patience will enable us to achieve this. Okay? It is my firm belief that, and the Nasruddin al-Kitab was saying, it is his firm belief that Islam has the answer to many of the psychological problems that trouble mankind today, such as anxiety, depression, lack of confidence, addictions, etc. in direct contrast to the Western focus on the self, Islam tells us to look beyond ourselves and focus on Allah. So pretty much it's saying, he's saying that, the Muslims should already know and that this is very important for them to know that this is what we definitely need and we need to use and utilize in our lives daily. Because, besides going through it as a ritual and our prayers is ritualistic and just doing it, like it's an exercise, it has to be something that's implemented in our heart, implemented in our minds, implemented throughout off our tongues and our limbs, and we should act upon this of being patient, in times of hardship, let alone times of ease, because times of ease is more simple, it's more easier for us to be patient, but in hard times, that's where it becomes very difficult for many human beings. And and that's where they mentioned psychological problems and from anxiety, depression, lack of confidence, and addictions, etc. All these things, if with lack of patience, and gratitude in there as well, this is going to be consistent in the people's lives. And with direct contrast to Western focus is on the self. They're not trying to build the self up to have this type of characteristics to be able to deal with the way that the world is. They just throw it out there and tell you, okay, be patient, be grateful for it. But what are they giving you to build up, to understand where this comes from? What is the reasons that you should be patient, and what things that you should know to help you to be patient, as well as have gratitude and be thankful for what you have. In Islam, it tells us how to look beyond ourselves and focus on Allah, because Allah is the one who gives the knowledge of why should we be patient and why we should have gratitude and be thankful for the things we have and the things that Allah would give to us, and have hope for those things besides praying for them. So it says, of course, by doing so, we will move towards fulfilling the purpose for which we were created, and thus attain peace with our Creator and within ourselves. And this is very seriously important for us as Muslims, that we should know this. But as non-Muslims, of course, you have to believe in Allah, and atheists and an agnostic, they really don't. And of Christian and Muslim and Jews and other faiths, they believe in other forms of and concepts of God other than the pure concept of God is monotheism, pure monotheism, without adding to God's divineness, having a partnership, having anyone that's there as a mediator or a child, a son, an offspring of God, or like this, any of that. That He's alone in His power and essence, and He's the one who gives us life, and He takes life, and He encompasses everything in creation. Okay, and He has power over everything, and that He's the one who can give us happiness. He can give us peace if we seek and serve and worship Him alone. So that's our purpose: is to worship Him, please Him, and then and so He will give us peace and pleasure in our life and for ourselves. Pleasure with Him and within ourselves. This book is the first in the series towards Islamic psychology that will, inshallah, bring the spiritual and psychological benefits of our Islamic heritage to Muslims who do not have access to the works of scholars in the original Arabic. So, alhamdulillah, this book is a blessing. It was translated, and you can read it in English, and it may be in other languages. I don't know, French or like this, but main languages, of course, is English, and you can get a benefit from it as myself, and I'm just trying to bring you points of the benefits that the Sheikh brings. So I will skip over to the first part, and I'm going to just deal with this first part, and then we're going to go to the next video where I will deal with gratitude. And the first part I'm doing, of course, going to deal with which is patience, which starts off in the first chapter, and it's the definition of patience. Now, definition of patience comes from the Arabic word known as sabr, which is an Arabic word which comes from the root meaning to detain, refrain, and stop. This is an expression in Arabic, so and so was killed sabran, which means that, and this is an example, which means that he was captured and detained until he died. So meaning like sabran, meaning that this person, they were like made to be patient. They were detained. They had no choice until he died. In the spiritual sense, patience means to stop ourselves from despairing and panicking, to stop our tongues from complaining, and to stop our hands from striking our faces and tearing our clothes at times of grief and stress. And the Sheikh Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyyah is basically trying to give you some guidance in what he's saying about the meaning of the word patience or sabr. And he brings what other scholars say, what scholars have said about patience. Some scholars have defined patience as a good human characteristic or positive psychological attitude by virtue of which we refrain from doing that which is not good. Human beings cannot live a proper, healthy life without patience. And in many religions, as well as just science and psychology, philosophy, or whatever, these are the different aspects of social life. These people believe that patience is a virtue, as they say, virtue. So it is, and so it's said. It is better to have patience at a time of difficulty or to be in a situation which does not require patience. And this is from the likes of one of the scholars in the past, Abu Muhammad al-Hariri, said, patience means not seeing any difference between times of ease and times of hardship, and being content at all times. But Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyyah says this is too difficult, and we are not instructed to be like this. Meaning, you can't expect a human being, we can't expect us to be patient all the time. It's too difficult for us. This is not a part of our being, and especially in times of hardship. And all that we can do is refrain from panicking at times of stress. So most people are going to try to refrain of panicking in times of stress or hardship. Like losing a loved one is very difficult. Patience does not mean feeling the same at both easy and difficult times. No, you're not. This is beyond us and is not part of our natural makeup or our nature. Okay, he says. So this is a basicness of when it comes to patience. But patience, when you get it from Allah, and Allah, you listen to His words, and you listen to those in the past who had patience, that were prophets and they were messengers of Allah and righteous people of Allah, then it helps you to give you an established foundation of patience in your life, in your daily life, to look at that and look back at what those people were and dealt with and the hardships they dealt with. As it is said in Islam, when you're stricken by hardship and struggle and stress, take a look back at those who have it harder than you. And maybe this can help you to say, oh, well, I can bear this because some people are having it harder than I do. So I'm going to be able to bear this and refrain from losing control and refrain from becoming panicky or refrain from going crazy. And this is how Allah helps the people through guidance, knowledge from the Quran, number one, and in the Prophet's words and his teachings and what he derived from the Quran, and the understanding that he knew best because the Quran was sent to him. The last revelation was sent to him. And the last revelation was sent as a guidance for mankind, to tell him how we should live today, to tell him what we need to do, what we need not to do, the way that we should be going and the way we shouldn't be going, the things we should be doing, the things we should not be doing. And Allah knows best of His creation. He knows what we need, and He knows what we lack, and He knows what He's going to provide for when we need it, and when He's going to do it. But we don't know this, so then that's where we lack, and so we become sad or depressed or whatever. But if you was to put your trust in Him and follow and link yourself up with His understanding and knowledge and His messengers, preferably the Prophet, which is the last one, because that's where Islam is established as the last religion, the last way of life, to live in God's will and submission to Him till the day of judgment. So In Islam, you learn this. You learn this well. So I'm going to leave off from here and go into the next video, inshallah, to try to speak about and point on gratitude. I hope I gave you enough in with this little bit that I could for patience. It's just a little bit brief commentary. That's all it is. So you can read this book. You can get this book, as you can see here. This is how it looks, from the front to the back cover, and try to go to any Muslim store in your community, or if you're in New York and Brooklyn, they have a major community in Brooklyn over there, in downtown Brooklyn, off on Atlantic Avenue. They have a lot of slew of businesses and bookstores, and they sell items and products for Islamic products, or just household and foods and stuff like that. So you can go to that store and you just ask about this book, which is called, again, Patience and Gratitude. From the author is Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyyah, one of the major scholars of his time, and it was translated by Nazaruddin al-Katab, and inshallah you can purchase this book, and hopefully you can benefit from it. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. I'll speak to you again inshallah in the next video.